I am honestly so tired of writing down my goals every single year just for them to never be hit. It's either I forget about them by the time March rolls around, or I have no way of tracking and measuring them, so they just turn into this loosey-goosey goal that sounds nice but actually never ends up going anywhere. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Heather if you're new here, and for context I have my own art print business called The New Colour, where I sell fun and vibrant art prints which were originally inspired by places that I had been. But nowadays I just like to draw anything which is fun, which is cute, which I find inspiring. I started my business back in November 2024, and 2025 has been a fun year of experimenting and just fitting it in whilst I can and enjoying the process. But in 2026, we are locking in. This is the year that I really want to try and grow the business and have the option to go part-time with it or even full-time. At the moment, all of this sits along my 9-to-5 job, so I actually need my goals to work for my life. So today I am sitting down and planning my 2026 goals in a way that is specific, measurable and realistic. I'm also building the systems in which I'm going to track and stay accountable for these goals all year round. So let's jump straight into it. Gone are the days of setting wishy-washy goals like
take more photos so I have more memories to look back on.
How on earth would I have known if I have taken more goals in 2025 than I did in 2024? I could have taken more photos, but I had no way of measuring whether I actually hit that goal or not. That is why this year I'm going to be setting SMART goals. These are goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound. They give me clarity, something to work towards and a way that I can actually track whether I am following through with that goal or not. On top of that, I am writing all of my goals in present tense and in the third person, because the person that I'm aspiring to be, she already has these things and she already does these habits. It's such a small word shift, but it's such a powerful mindset and manifesting tool. So instead of writing I want XYZ, I'm going to write she has XYZ. This is something that I learned from, I hope I'm saying the name right, Tam Core. I'm not entirely sure what video it is that I learned this from, but I will just link her channel in the description below. But I'm sure you guys have already heard of her because she is amazing. Now I'm going to spend the time to actually write down my goals into different subsections, and for my small business I'm going to be dividing it into a few different sections. There's markets, which is in-person markets that I do. There's website and marketing, which is just general branding, how the website looks, but also my strategy for how I'm going to market things. And then I have social media, so my social media strategy, which kind of blends in with marketing strategy. I have wholesale because this year I really want to be getting into doing wholesale. This is a big goal of mine for this year. And then I have the design section, which is actually creating new designs. So yeah, I'm gonna split that into different sections and write out all of my goals. So I'll see you then. Okay, so I'm going to jump in and share my goals for 2026, which I have just wrote out. This has got all my personal goals on it as well, but in this video I'm just going to focus on my career and business goals. This is basically just anything that's to do with my art print business, The New Colour, and I've broken this down into markets, marketing, website, social media, designs and wholesale. Oh, and for this I'm also using the productivity method template by Beverly. I bought this I think last year, but she just came out with a new template, so I'm kind of tempted to buy that, but then also kind of tempted to just like build my own Notion template because I think that would be so fun, but that might be giving myself too much to do. Anyways, jumping into it. So for my market, I've got she participates in one person market every 2 months, starting in April, committing to a minimum of 6 markets per year to consistently grow brand awareness and sales. So for this, I don't think markets is going to be like my main income stream. They're fun to do every now and again, though they are tiring, and especially tiring alongside
a full-time job. If you have like something which is maybe a bit more profitable but in person, then maybe I'll do that, like crocheting, selling like accessories and even ceramics, just like little things that people don't necessarily have to think about as much. Whereas I feel like, hello, this is Editing Cover here. I just thought I'd jump on to try and explain a bit better what I was trying to say in the video. So what I was trying to say is that I don't think markets are the most profitable way to sell art prints. I think if you're at a market, things like say like crochet bags where there are higher price points and people have to think less about buying them are probably a bit better. Whereas art prints, I think, you know, it's going to be going up in someone's house, in someone's bedroom. So I think they have to think more about whether they want it. And it's only really, you know, one-time purchase. You only do up your room once and then it's done. Maybe you'll buy like little knickknacks for it. And it's also lower profit. Like I'm only selling the A3 art prints for like £20. So in that sense, that's what I was trying to say. I don't think it's as profitable to sell art prints at markets, even though it's still good for awareness and just getting your face out there. So that's why I'm only doing one every 2 months. Okay, so then on marketing side of it, she uses Pinterest as a marketing channel by posting 3 pins per week that link directly to her art print collections, review and performance monthly. I've not utilised Pinterest at all and I think it'll be a great marketing technique, and I love Pinterest. That'll be so fun to see other people like pinning my prints as well on their boards. I'm going to whiz through them now. So setting up an Etsy store by 31st of March, and then she has professional and consistent packaging for both online and markets, because at the moment I think my packaging is just, it's not the best, but I just bought like cheap stuff that I could find when I was first starting out because I didn't want to spend loads on packaging when I just already spent loads on stock. I'd already just spent loads on like market setup, but maybe now that I have a bit more money I can spend some time and money designing good packaging. From January to October she publishes on YouTube every fortnight while working full time, maintaining consistency for audience growth. This is basically, I'm kind of giving October myself like my own internal deadline of potentially when I'd be able to choose to go part-time or full-time, and then the next goal is just like I'm publishing one a week, because at that point I'll be doing this full-time. That's what I'm manifesting. Okay, she posts Instagram 3 times per week on her main art print account and once on her personal art account to maintain visibility. I'm focusing more on YouTube and wholesales this year, so that's why Instagram's not as high. She creates and releases one new art collection every 2 months. She launches a monthly snail club by April 1st. This is something I have saw everybody and their nan's dog are doing this like past few months, and I want to kind of get into it before the hype of it dies down, before I'm too late. But I think right now I think will be a lot to do all at once, so I'm giving myself a 3-month deadline and have that up by April 1st. She creates one non-digital drawing or painting every week. This is just for me to maintain my like creative flow and just not put pressure on that one drawing that I do each week. And then also something I want to do by the end of the year is have my designs on a sustainable phone case. I see loads of illustrators out there creating phone cases, but I really want to have one on them like compostable ones, so they're more environmentally friendly. So then she launches a greeting card by 31st of March. She secures 10 retainer wholesale clients by sitting down once per week to email or message 5 shops with a clear wholesale pitch. That's all of my 2026 small creative business goals, and next we're gonna sit down and see how I'm actually going to track them.
Okay, now that all of my goals are set out, I need to find a way to actually track them, and I want something which is simple and not overly complicated, because I know if it's just too much then I just won't use it at all. I'm using a Notion template which I downloaded for free back in 2020 from Devampsh's page. I feel like I'm saying that completely wrong. I am so sorry, but I remember the exact video that I got it from, so I'll link that in the description below. At the time I never really used it, but actually coming back to it, it's perfect for what I need. It's clear, it's simple, and it doesn't have any fluff or anything that I don't need.
Okay, so this is the page in my Notion that I'm going to use to track and measure all of my goals for the year. Again, I'm not going to completely run through how to use this page, because if you want to use that, I'll link Devampsh's video in the description below, but I'm just going to quickly run through what my goals are and what the measurable actions are to complete that goal. So it's split into 4 different quarters. So all of these goals, the ones that I wrote out now, are for the goals that relate to quarter 1, and then when it comes to quarter 2, I'll reassess. Okay, so this is my goals section, and in the left-hand column, this is just a summarised version of the goals that I had wrote for 2026. So say, for example, I have set up an Etsy store by the 31st of March. I then have measurable outcomes for this. So one being actually setting up the store, and the other being posting products on the Etsy store. And I'd already filled out that's what I was just posting it. But all of this should be obviously F0. If I post on 10 products on Etsy store, say I post 5, and then I set up my Etsy store, so I only have to do that once, so I'll post that once. That gives me then a progress tracker for each of them measurable outcomes, and then if you go up to the goal, it then gives me an overall progress tracker for that specific goal. So if I was to set up the Etsy store and then post 10 products, I would be 75% of my way through that goal, and then it tallies all of the goals in this quarter and gives you an overall percentage tracker. So if I was to do that, I then would have completed 8% of my quarter one goals, which is quite a big chunk. And I think this is just nicer saying like I completed 75% of the goal. Say if I was to put an 8 out of the 10 products on my website, so let me put that in. As this was to be 8, that means my overall progress for this goal is 90%. So say by the 31st of March, I've set up the store, but I've input 8 products on the website. Instead of me being like, oh, you know what, I failed on that goal. Oh no, like that's really disheartening. I can actually be like, no, actually I've completed 90% of that goal. I'm still 90% better off than if I wasn't to complete that goal at all. So I think it's just all about like the mindset change, and that's then going to keep me going throughout the whole year instead of being like getting deflated because I didn't completely hit my goal in quarter one. So I think this is just a good way to look at it as a different perspective. It would be amazing if I could hit 100% of my goals. I'd love that, but then I would also be really happy if I hit 80-90% of my goals.
And that is everything for this video. I hope that gave you some inspiration about how you can set goals for this new year coming ahead, especially if you're growing a business like myself alongside a full-time job. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like, and if you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you here. I'll be sharing more about growing my creative business, setting up systems, and just navigating this creative industry in a realistic way. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.